Joining me now is Texas Senator Ted Cruz. He is the author of One Vote Away. Senator, thank you so much for joining me today.
Samantha, thank you for having me.
Now, there are a number of lawsuits that the Trump campaign is pursuing in states like Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Michigan. Where do you think the president has the most potential to overturn the election results?
Well, I think Arizona has the clearest path to victory. Arizona remains very close, and I'm hopeful that we will see Arizona move to the Trump column. Pennsylvania is the biggest stakes. It's got a lot at issue there. There are some strong issues in the Pennsylvania legal challenge. One of the strongest issues is an issue that has already gone to the Supreme Court in various forms twice, which is that the state Supreme Court changed the deadline and the date for receiving mail-in voting and extended it. The Constitution gives the authority to set that date and to set the time, place, and manner of federal elections to the state legislature, and it explicitly specifies state legislature. And the state Supreme Court changed that and extended it to receive mail-in voting for 3 additional days. That issue is a pure issue of law that I believe if the U.S. Supreme Court addresses on the merits, they will conclude that the state Supreme Court's action was unconstitutional. However, in order to maximize the chances of the Supreme Court agreeing to take the appeal, because they have a discretionary jurisdiction over appeals, the Trump legal team needs to demonstrate that it would make a difference in the outcome. The margin right now is about 50,000 votes, and so they are active going to court right now, working to build the factual predicate and the evidentiary foundation that a sufficient number of ballots that were counted were illegally cast so as to change the outcome in Pennsylvania.
Now, I read from the Wall Street Journal that the Trump campaign hasn't presented evidence of widespread fraud in any of its lawsuits. The president has been tweeting about fraud quite frequently. Where are we going to see this evidence? And do you think that widespread fraud is an issue in our elections?
Well, there are multiple lawsuits that have been filed in states across the country that are close and contested. There are lawsuits that have been filed in state court and in federal court. And we need to let the judicial process play out. The way this operates under our constitutional system is that after an election, either party can challenge the outcome of the election, can file litigation, can file a contest lawsuit, or in some circumstances can force a recount. And when it comes to allegations of fraud, those are not going to be resolved by random anecdotes or tweets somebody sends out on social media. The way those claims will be resolved is in a court of law, where it is now incumbent on the Trump legal team to present an evidentiary basis, to put on factual witnesses, to put on expert witnesses, and to present direct evidence that will be subject to cross-examination. And under our judicial system, it is the trial courts that serve as fact finders and that will make the initial determination as to the extent of fraud in any given state.
I want to talk a little bit about the Georgia Senate races. Of course, we still don't know. We won't know until January 5th with the runoff races there. What's at stake if the Republican Party loses their majority in the Senate?
The Georgia Senate races are indescribably important. The entire country hinges upon the outcome of these runoffs. Right now, Republicans have a 52-48 majority in the U.S. Senate. On January 5th, we could lose both of those seats. 2 Georgia senators, both Republicans, are in the runoff on January 5th. And if the Democrats win both of those seats, the Senate will be 50-50, which means if Joe Biden is president, if Chuck Schumer is majority leader, there is zero check and balance. There is zero restraint on the radical extreme agenda the hard left wants to push. What does that mean? If Chuck Schumer is majority leader, they will end the filibuster, which eliminates the minority's ability to stop their radical agenda. They will pass a massive tax increase. They will pass the Green New Deal, destroying millions of jobs across this country. They will add 2 new states to the country because they believe that will give them 4 new Democratic senators. They will grant amnesty to tens of millions of illegal aliens, and they will pack the United States Supreme Court. They will add 4 left-wing activists to the Supreme Court immediately, which will in turn set the stage for stripping us of our constitutional rights, for destroying our rights to free speech, our rights to religious liberty, our Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. All of those are hanging in the balance of the Georgia Senate race. If Republicans hold the Georgia Senate seats on January 5th, none of that will happen. A Republican majority can stop the most extreme leftist agenda that would otherwise be rammed through by a majority leader, Chuck Schumer.
Now, in terms of the future of the Republican Party, let's say all goes in favor for Joe Biden and he is elected president come January, he's sworn into the office. What does the future of the Republican Party look like? And I know it's a bit early, but do you have any predictions for 2024?
Well, I hope what we see happen is that President Trump prevails in the litigation and serves a second term as president. We will find out in the coming weeks whether or not that occurs. Regardless, one message that we can take from this election that is powerfully encouraging is that the Republican Party has become the party of working men and women. There has been a significant move in socioeconomic class identification with each party. Historically, the caricature has been that Republicans were the party of the rich and Democrats were the party of the poor and working class. That has now flipped. Today's Democratic Party is the party of rich coastal elites, and the Republican Party is a blue-collar party. We are a party of working men and women, of truck drivers and steel workers and construction workers and waiters and waitresses and cops and firefighters and all of the men and women with calluses on their hands, the men and women who work for a living. We saw in this election overwhelmingly are supporting Republicans, voted for Donald Trump, voted for Republican Senate candidates, voted for and gave Republicans a significant increase in the House of Representatives. I think that bodes very, very well for 2024 and going forward. And I believe to win, Republicans must continue to be the party of jobs and the party of working men and women.
Senator Cruz, one last question while I have you. The national debt under President Trump increased by nearly 36% in less than 4 years. That's about $7 trillion. Are we driving ourselves into a fiscal nightmare? And how do we get back on track to eliminating that debt?
So undoubtedly, the debt is getting worse and worse and worse. That was dramatically exacerbated by the coronavirus pandemic. And we saw unprecedented spending, bipartisan spending from Congress in the face of that crisis. The only way to turn it around is to restore economic growth, to bring back jobs, and the way to do so is reducing taxes, reducing job-killing regulations. It's why the Georgia Senate race matters so much, because if the Democrats take control of the Senate, we will see precisely the opposite happen. We will see higher taxes, higher regulations, and massively increase spending. That will send the debt in exactly the wrong direction, and we need instead robust economic growth. By the way, we've seen this before. Under Ronald Reagan, and after 8 years, Ronald Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush, we cut taxes, we cut job-killing regulations. The economy came roaring back from the stagflation of the 1970s, and we ended up having a period of surpluses instead of debt that Bill Clinton inherited from 12 years because of the economic growth over that decade. To turn around the debt, we need to do that again. And that is certainly what I am fighting to do, is to bring back jobs and economic growth. That's the only force powerful enough to turn around the debt.
Senator Ted Cruz, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, Senator Ted Cruz, the author of One Vote Away.
Thank you, Samantha. It's great to be with you. And I would note, by the way, the book One Vote Away, 5 weeks in a row on the New York Times bestseller list, and one of the chapters is on Bush versus Gore. The last time we had a contested election, it takes you behind the scenes to what happened. If you want to understand what's going on in all of this litigation and all of these contests and all of these recounts, you can go buy One Vote Away on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, wherever you get your books. It'll take you inside and help you understand what's going on right now in the election today.